Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they pledge you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Kermitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
Oh, casual Sam
Different
today.
energy today.
Yeah.
You made me wake up early, and so, I'm different at 9 o'clock than I am at 10 o'clock.
Oh, we should record at 9 o'clock more often if you're this chipper.
Maybe you're right. I feel great.
Let's start recording at 5 a.m. Why not?
Hell, I could stay up till 5 a.m.
Whoa, all-nighter?
Yeah.
We record one episode the night before at like 10 p.m. and then record
Yeah.
again the next morning at 5 a.m. and
Matt,
see how the energies are
This is
different.
exactly what my wife wants, is for us to start recording even more episodes of our podcast.
Also,
She would be
staying
so
up overnight and recording throughout the evening. This sounds exactly like what other people in our lives would want us to do.
Yeah, and just be totally worthless on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
One of the two precious days off we get every week.
Yeah.
Wherein I do massive amounts of housework and be a good husband.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, I'll sleep all day. And all night, I'll stay up playing Fortnite until 5. I could so easily stay up every Saturday playing Fortnite until 5. That would be a dream.
I feel like that's the reality of probably 25-year-old Sam?
Oh my gosh. No. Because I already knew Rachel when I was 25.
Oh.
I don't mean that sign in a bad way. This is true. I'm just old. That was the reality of, oh gosh. Well, in high school, I would stay up tons playing, what's that freaking Elder Scrolls game?
Skyrim?
Oblivion?
Oh, Oblivion.
No, Oblivion.
Yeah,
I'm an old head, my friend. Yeah. And I would play, there was just that's when I would play games. I would just stay up until 6 o'clock in the morning playing games.
I remember
when you're a teen and you sleep for 2 hours and then you wake up and you're like, let's go get drunk.
I remember staying up until about 2 or 3 in the morning when Guitar Hero came out, the first one,
dude.
and just staring at my screen by myself in my room playing Guitar Hero, and then trying to go to bed and everything's moving around me.
You know what's completely insane is that there is not still Guitar Hero everywhere. How is that? That's the funnest game ever made. Why isn't everybody always playing Guitar Hero?
Because there's
You
giant
can't even
peripherals.
get Guitar Hero anymore.
People don't want peripherals.
That's so stupid, though. I think about playing Guitar Hero all the time. I want to play it so bad. Because sometimes I'll hear a song that was clearly on Guitar Hero or a song that just seems like it would be really fun to play on Guitar Hero or Rock Band or something. I never even got to play Rock Band.
What?
But
I had
wanna play
Beatles Rock Band, sir. That was delightful. I mean, I feel like this is the only time I can appropriately tell you this, Sam.
Yeah.
In about 2007-ish, I won a Guitar Hero 2 tournament at my local GameStop out in California where I was living.
Congratulations, man.
Hey, thanks. I got, I think, extremely lucky because the last song was, of course, was it Jordan is what that Buckethead song is called? The ridiculously hard song. And basically they had set it up so that there was you couldn't fail a song in the tournament because they didn't want anybody failing. They just wanted the best score at the end of it. And so
cool.
me and this other person were messing up the entire time pretty much, but I happened to not mess up quite as much as this other person did. But in the previous rounds, I did really well. That last round, no, garbage.
Wow.
I used to be extremely good at Guitar Hero.
So all of your 2 a.m. Guitar Heroing paid off. What did you win?
A t-shirt.
Oh.
Just a Guitar Hero 2 t-shirt, I believe in size extra large.
Oh, Matt. Did you get a gift certificate or anything?
No.
Oh. GameStop couldn't peel you off $50. Not even enough to buy a game, but almost a game.
No. All I got was a t-shirt that says, I think says we came, we saw, we rocked or something like that on the back.
They couldn't have given you some grimy Game Boy game packs or whatever.
There's like
cartridges.
Yeah, they just toss me a Wii controller. Why not?
A Wii controller with like children's boogers clearly on them.
Well, unfortunately, we are not here to talk about Guitar Hero 2 today because we are here to talk about the 1984 film The Muppets Take Manhattan.
Guitar Hero 2 is probably older than some people who listen to this show, right?
No, Guitar Hero 2 is
2005?
2007. The second one is 2007.
2006. It says initial release date November 2006. So there's some like,
oh
how long
God,
ago was that?
That is a long time ago, huh?
It was a long time ago.
Oh no,
It's
Sam.
2023.
That's 17 years ago. So yeah. Oh no.
Hello out there, people who are graduating from high school when Matt was winning this competition.
Yeah.
This is what your future has in store for you.
Yeah, these people were born the day I was winning a Guitar Hero competition and are now graduating high school.
Yeah, and probably some of them have their summa cum laude.
And some of them have never heard of Guitar Hero.
Oh, I'm sad for those people.
I was just trying to think of like what the equivalent was of 17 years after Muppets Take Manhattan is 2001.
What? That's crazy.
So we were in junior high 17 years after Muppets Take Manhattan.
When the people doing the original podcasts were saying... Remember
Hi out there in Radioland. There's this new film called Muppets Take Manhattan.
Have you played Donkey Kong? Yeah, I stayed in my local arcade playing Donkey Kong. I won a Donkey Kong competition. My prize was a rutabaga or whatever they were eating back then.
That's all they ate back in the day. They were in black and white eating rutabagas.
Playing Donkey Kong.
Well, Sam, that's a good enough time for me to ask you, what did we watch this week?
In Muppets Take Manhattan, Kermit, Miss Piggy, Fozzie, and the gang play a group of kids fresh out of college with a dream. See, they wrote a musical called Manhattan Melodies that all the kids at school seem fairly enthusiastic about, so they decide to move to New York to try to get Manhattan Melodies on Broadway. That is much easier said than done, however, and pretty soon all of Kermit's friends are broke and disillusioned. So they all leave New York, telling Kermit that they got exciting job offers in other places to let him down easily. This leaves Kermit all alone in New York with nothing but a dream and a vow to sell his play and bring all of his friends back. He gets a job at a diner and, along with coworker and aspiring costume designer Ginny, hatches scheme after scheme to go undercover and con his way in front of Broadway producers. These all fail horribly, and he's about to give up when he gets a letter from a producer asking him for a meeting. Eventually, also, by the way, he discovers that Piggy has stuck around to spy on him, and she gets a job at the diner too. This is important. He goes and discovers that the son of a powerful producer was the one who actually wrote him under his father's name to lure Kermit to the office, but that literally doesn't matter because, long story short, this guy wants to produce Kermit's musical. So Kermit's on cloud nine. He calls Piggy and Ginny to share the good news. Piggy and Ginny get to work rounding up the old gang, and Kermit starts to wander around in a happy daze, and such a happy daze, in fact, that he steps right in front of a taxi. He wakes up in a hospital with no memory of who he is and is eventually discharged to go start a new life. Kermit eventually stumbles upon an advertising agency staffed by fellow frogs, and he finds that he has a knack for advertising and decides that that'll be his new life. Meanwhile, his friends search feverishly for him while also preparing for the musical. On the day of the show's opening, they've all pretty much given up when, wouldn't you know it, Kermit and his coworkers wander into the diner for lunch. The Muppets try to make Kermit remember who he is, but he doesn't, so they drag him to the theater hoping for a miracle, and there is indeed a miracle. Miss Piggy gets so frustrated with Kermit that she gives him a karate chop, which, of course, brings him to his senses. He hits the stage with his friends, and they put on a show, ending with a big, possibly real wedding between he and Miss Piggy, that Ginny also, by the way, doesn't seem to have been invited to, even though I assume she made Miss Piggy's wedding dress, which seems kind of rude. And they all live happily ever after, or something.
I like the or something because that does sort of feel like the end of this movie.
It ends during the play, but also the play and real life. The play is one thing.
Yeah.
The real life of the movie is another thing. And the real life of the Muppets is a third thing.
Right.
And it's completely impossible to tell the real life of the Muppets. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's impossible to tell, like, what is going on.
Yeah, I think that's a very fair assessment because I think that's what usually has happened with us talking about Muppets is that when we try to dissect the Muppets canon, we quickly realize there isn't one. And also, yeah, there's, when Kermit and Piggy are on the Merv Griffin show talking about their relationship, and Kermit says he was just an actor in a movie. Not only was he just an actor in a movie, but he was an actor in a movie who was acting in a play who was getting married.
Yeah.
So it's 3 layers deep, baby. It's frogs all the way down.
And then when he gets to the altar and he's like, "Who'd you get to play the priest?" And she's like, don't worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Is that Miss Piggy the real Miss Piggy? Is that Miss Piggy the movie Miss Piggy?
Right.
Like, I know the canon doesn't really matter that much, but this one I feel like, because of the Merv Griffin thing, they've challenged you so much to think so hard about it anyway that they're like, fuck you, basically.
The joke in the Merv Griffin show and other things that Piggy has talked about where she hired a real minister to marry them, so that is a legally binding marriage, even though it's within a play, within a movie, within actors' world.
Yeah.
Technically, she is saying, that was a real minister, so we're actually married. There was apparently a scene cut out of this where Gonzo told Kermit that the minister at the wedding was a real minister.
That would explain why he's so hesitant to get married at the end. Like, if that happened beforehand,
right?
I don't know when
if he thinks he's just acting in a play, why would he hesitate to say I do? Unless that's the character. Again, we don't know a whole lot about Manhattan Melodies, the story that they're putting on here, other than it's about 2 people who come to New York to get married.
But I mean, that almost makes the movie like, it would be really fun if at the end the movie like completely fell apart into like a meta thing where it's like Miss Piggy reveals that she created this whole movie to get married to Piggy, and then like the camera's cut and it just like, it's like they're on a set.
Yes.
And then she's like, gotcha.
Yeah. No, that would be amazing. Oh, see? And like, yeah, notably there's, we'll talk about this movie a lot. That's what we're here to do today. But Muppet Wiki notes that this is, so far, the only Muppet movie to not use any fourth wall references. Like breaking the fourth wall and talking to the audience.
Like they never look at the thing and go, "Can you believe it, folks?"
Right. They
Even
don't pull out the
Statler and
script.
Waldorf don't do it.
Yeah. I think that's the closest we get is Statler and Waldorf being here and heckling and like, who are they talking to? We're like clearly there for us.
I love when they're on the horse cart and they're like, "Woo!"
They're just heckling the idea of love. Oh, looks like they're in love. Yeah. Kind of makes you sick, doesn't it? And it's like, that's it. And they just like yell like, hubba, hubba. But yeah, it's interesting that there isn't that meta joke of like, oh, here's the script for the movie. Oh, here's this. And I think what you just pitched would be a great ending to this movie where Piggy calls cut and is like, all right, we did it, folks. Thanks, everyone. We got married. Thank you. Thank like... Frank. Thank this guy. Thanks, everyone, for putting on this movie. Me and Kermit officially married now. And then Kermit freaks out.
It's like a horror movie ending.
Yeah, it wouldn't be great for Kermit, but it'd be great for the audience.
Oh, okay. So she's saying that and she's like wandering around thanking everybody. And the camera's not moving. It's just zooming in on Kermit's face. And he's just standing there like, and you can hear Piggy in the background going like, great, we pulled off my ski.
Everyone
job,
congratulating her.
Like,
and he's just
yeah,
slowly.
Yeah, you could see like Fozzie like come up and pat Kermit on the back, be like, good job, buddy. And he's like, oh, what? Zoom in. A droning starts into the movie. Cut to black. The last time you ever see Kermit the Frog.
I mean, that would set up, their rough relationship for the next 40 years to make more sense.
Yeah.
If it was the fact that she had truly tricked him. Which I think, again, they allude to in other media and in other interviews and stuff. Yes. They refer to this moment.
They have since then, for sure. Mm-hmm.
Well, a few things to note about Muppets Take Manhattan before we dive even deeper into talking about it. You might notice if you go to watch this movie, you can't easily... I say easily. You can rent it digitally, whatever.
You have to pay $4 to watch it.
Right. But it's not streaming on Disney Plus with the rest of the Muppets movies. I guess say the rest. Muppets from Space isn't on there either. But
it's not?
No. Because unlike the other films, this film was not produced by ITC, so the rights did not eventually go back to the Henson Company when he bought up all of the rights to his stuff. So this one has been released through the years by CBS Fox and then Columbia TriStar and Sony Pictures Home Entertainment. And so it's the only one with Muppets from Space. Those two are the only ones that Disney does not own the rights to. So that's why currently, not on Disney Plus. I think there's a chance that it could because Sony Pictures Home Entertainment and Disney have worked together before. The Spider-Man movies that are newer are Sony movies, and they've allowed those on Disney Plus now. So there's always a chance. I would be very curious about potential edits they might make to this movie.
Rolf is racist in this movie.
Well, even aside from that, Dabney Coleman is smoking throughout a whole scene when he first meets the Muppets. Yeah. And they have edited out cigarettes in other things on Disney Plus. So
Really?
Yeah, there's actually Bobby Benson has a cigarette in the Muppet Christmas Carol, and they edited that out. So I would not be surprised if somehow they tried to like edit out the cigarette that Dabney Coleman is holding.
But people do smoke in the Muppet Show, right?
Probably, yes.
I'm pretty sure they do. I think Bobby Benson does.
Probably,
he's
yes.
always got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth.
Some other things to note. There is a comic book adaptation of this that I have not got my hands on yet, but I feel like we should at some point because it looks pretty good.
Released back then? Or
Yeah, it was released back then, and they've re-released it through the years. There's a big omnibus that has like Muppet Babies comics along with these comics in there as well. And in there, as well as in the storybook of this movie, there were scenes included that are not in the movie, including Statler and Waldorf attempting to cure Kermit's amnesia.
Oh.
So I'm not sure how, because I haven't read the comic book yet, but apparently they're involved in that plot.
Probably by being really mean to him.
Yeah. Remember this? Remember the awful things we've been saying to you? Also, again, the Muppet Wiki notes about this movie in 2002, and prepare for the most 2002 sentence I could possibly say.
Great.
This was released as a promotional DVD from General Mills and was packaged with some different cereals. Yeah. And it also included a trial of 1,000 hours worth of AOL usage. And
so was it AOL disc with, and what?
And various Bear in the Big Blue House games made by JuniorNet that ran on QuickTime.
Ew, what the hell? How did it run on QuickTime?
I didn't know you could play games on QuickTime. I thought it was just videos, but
yeah.
I guess I don't remember 2002 that well. And the last things I wanted to note just before we dive in is that the response from critics to this movie was, as Brian J. Jones says, one of amused toleration. Roger Ebert said it was not original, but nonetheless, good. And yeah, it seemed like most people agreed that the film was funny, but lacking in that Muppet madness. And Frank Oz said that was fair. He said it doesn't have enough lunacy. I think the story is your basic old-fashioned story, and it was a well-crafted thing because of that, but it didn't have flights of fancy like the Muppet movie. I just wanted to make sure that all the Muppet characters came out and their relationships, that's all.
Weird thing to say about the movie you made, I feel like.
I feel like that's maybe in hindsight. Like, I think if you had asked him when he was making it, he was probably like, yes, this is exactly what I'm doing and this is why. But maybe now that some people have come out and said like, hey, it wasn't really as wacky as those other ones. He was like, yeah, well, what are you
He was like,
do?
I meant to do that. Shut up.
Well, there's another good note in the Jim Henson biography by Brian J. Jones that talks about when Frank Oz was chosen to direct the film. And he's quoted as saying, I had learned a lot about directing by co-directing with Jim on The Dark Crystal. And I think he just felt at this point he could trust me to not fuck it up.
He said the F word?
Yeah. Oh, Frank says a lot of F words in the book.
Did he fuck it up, though? That's my question.
That was going to be my next question for you, Sam. How do you feel about this movie that you have never seen until this week?
I'd never seen it before. I was talking last week that I couldn't possibly begin to imagine what this movie was like.
You had seen clips and pieces of it throughout the years, and then we watched a lot of it last week and talking about the lead up to this. And I told you there was a big thing that happens in this movie that had not yet been revealed that is really...
What was it?
It's when everyone goes their separate ways and breaks up, essentially. Yeah. When they fight, and Kermit's like, what do you want me to do? And Scooter convinces everyone to leave. That is not clear in any of the other clips you have seen, which really does set up most of the movie.
It's not really clear of the movie either, in my opinion. I what is their plan exactly?
Their plan is just to not be a burden to Kermit anymore.
I guess so. But why can't Miss Piggy... Why does Miss Piggy have to go too? They're dating. Why can't she just be like, I'll stay? Yeah,
I think she's just convinced enough that, maybe she is also a burden on Kermit. But it doesn't entirely make sense because, the Mayhem all travels together. Gonzo and Camilla travel together. Plenty of the other Muppets do stick together.
Yeah, it is funny to see the Mayhem going away and be like, why did these assholes get to all be friends still?
Yeah, and it seems like maybe it's just that Piggy needed to be out of the way for the plot, or to give Piggy something to do, she needed to be spying on Kermit this whole time.
Anyway, the question was, What did I think of this movie?
Mm-hmm.
I've been thinking a lot about what was missing from this movie, and I've realized now it's a plot of any kind to speak of at all. I would say it could really have used a plot because they just go through so many things. It's like going there with a dream. They burn through Dabney Coleman instantly. That whole first part could have been the whole movie where he's like putting on their play but like stealing from them or something. And they could have figured it out and banded together. Him working at the diner and getting in front of producers, that could have been the whole thing. Or him getting freaking amnesia at the end of the movie, that could have also been the whole thing. The whole movie could have been them trying to like get Kermit to come to his senses or something. And then at the very end, he's also like, I know what my play needs. It's more frogs and dogs and weird stuff. But it's like, when did you learn that the whole time? All your friends went off and met a bunch of friends. You didn't do anything. You got hit by a cab and moped.
Yeah, your idea like worked. You sold it. You were going to get it made. There wasn't like, it wasn't that everyone was saying your idea is bad. You can't make this show.
Yeah.
You need more.
You actually didn't even need your friends at all. You could have just done it by yourself.
Yeah, that's very true.
So I think there was a lot of very funny parts in this movie. There's a lot of stuff that made me laugh. I think the humor was much more in line with my kind of humor than some of the Muppet stuff we've watched, because it really doesn't depend on fourth wall breaking, and then there's not as many puns and stuff like that. It's more just like, it's almost like anti-humor stuff, like when Kermit is like meeting Jenny and he's like, "Hi, I'm Kermit. I'm a frog."
That made me laugh so hard.
So I like that, and like we get our first fart joke, I think, in the entire history of the Muppets, with the why does everybody always blame the dog for Rolf?
When they say something smells and they all turn and look at Rolf.
So it is it's like much more 80s-y than I was like anticipating it being. Also, it does not feel like a 70s movie. It definitely feels like an 80s movie, but it just like didn't hang together. It was just like, pew, pew, now this is happening, now this is happening, now this is happening so fast. And gosh, they love breaking the Muppets up, don't they? Why can't the Muppets just all be together in one freaking movie?
Because there's no conflict then, Sam. You can't have if they're all just hanging out, there's not enough for all of them to do at the same time.
They could have all just worked at the diner. It could have been like the Happiness Hotel. They could have been like that guy could have been like, "All right, I'll hire all of you." And it could have just been Kermit's base of operations. He could have individually looped them into his different schemes to get in front of producers, Yeah. But I don't know. Oh, like Kermit in his disguises was so funny. Like when he was at Sardi's and it was just like hearing Jim. It was almost, part of it was also kind of like the Humiliate Jim movie, I feel like, a little bit. Because he had to do voices that were really silly. And then at the end when he meets all those frogs, it's like, what if we got a bunch of people in here to make fun of Jim and do Kermit voices and talk about how boring Kermit is?
Which is interesting because in multiple interviews, Jim has talked about how much he loves this movie specifically because of the way Frank wrote Kermit. And because he wasn't directing it, he got to have more fun and relax while doing it. And so it seems like Jim loved the fact that Frank did those wild ideas with Kermit and was like, you're going to play an agent. You're going to play this like snooty Broadway producer. Yeah. And so thankfully, it seems like everyone was on board.
It was like Kermit doing his best Grover impression when he's like, "Hey, baby," you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it's a little bit like the thing that we actually said didn't work when Kermit tried to be Harry the Hipster in the visual thinking sketch.
Yeah, it worked this time because the whole time you could tell Kermit was thinking like, "This is really stupid and I'm terrified."
Right, and we are supposed to know that he's not good at this right now versus like in the visual thinking thing, I think they still thought maybe he could be the cool one.
And I would actually agree that this is probably my favorite that I've ever seen Kermit, because he was a guy, like he had a personality, and he was just like plucky and a loser, and he wasn't mad at anybody. He like didn't scream at Piggy like he does in Great Muppet Caper or anything like that. He does seem like he's not in control. He's like, life's just happening to him and he is reacting to it and doing the best he can. And he's also very funny in this movie. But I feel like on the flip side, Piggy is so diminished in this movie. She does not feel like herself at all to me.
It's almost like the guy who performs her was directing the movie and probably had to limit what she could do.
Yeah. But she's just like, she's so demure compared to how she normally is. Like,
yeah, like she definitely has her scenes of anger and flipping out and doing things, but it's all out of jealousy and unearned jealousy too. Like nothing's actually happening with Jenny and Kermit. And so
is it though? Because at the end when Piggy shows up, Jenny's kind of like, oh.
There's a couple times where I do feel like they're both flirting with each other in ways that is almost rude to Piggy.
Yeah.
Like there's the moment when Piggy is spying on them from the construction site and they're sitting on the bench. Jenny says something about she's trying to talk about Miss Piggy with Kermit, and she's like, "Oh, so she's really talented and all this stuff." And he's like, "I think you're talented, Jenny." It's like, "Whoa, Kermit! All right, slow down."
Yeah,
like
it's like they're hitting on each other a bunch, and he's like into it, and then he's like, but my girlfriend. Well, it's like some sick game that they're playing.
Yeah, like he's negging her because like he's the one who brought up Piggy at the beginning of that conversation, like unwarranted. She's talking about something and he's like, yeah, Piggy used to like that too. Oh, it's the mustache thing. She says like, I think you'd look cute with a mustache. And he's like, Piggy said that once to me.
Said that too.
And so I'm like, oh, okay, if you're trying to flirt right now, maybe don't bring up the ex-girlfriend.
Or maybe do. I don't know what Jenny's into, you know?
But then it's immediately turned around where she's like not put off by that. And he like is like, oh, okay, well then, hey.
Yeah. But there's a version of Piggy that we've seen who would have like gone over there and snapped Jenny in half immediately, like instead of just spying like that.
She would have actually confronted them face to face and tried to beat up Jenny.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I'm still doing what I think about the movie, which has been going on forever. But I think about the Muppet movie, just great. The songs are fantastic. There's a lot about it that doesn't really hold up once you've seen it 80,000 times like I have, but great movie. Great Muppet Caper. A little bit boring, but very funny in parts. And also, you can't beat their identical twins gag that goes throughout it. And also, the songs in that are mostly really great too. But this one is just like, there's not like one standout moment that makes me want to watch it over and over again. And I didn't find the music to be that like interesting either.
Yeah, so the music in this one is not done by Paul Williams, like he has done other Muppet projects.
And you can tell it doesn't have that swinging something.
Yes and no. I think there are moments of music in this that I think are fantastic. I think the opening of Together Again is a great opening song. It's got that like lovely wholesome sound to it right away that feels very Muppety, but it is, I don't think these are the songs that people necessarily talk about when they're talking about the greatest Muppet songs of all time. I also think there's something to that this is the only Muppet movie soundtrack that was never released on like CD or anything. So as far as re-listening to things and that, the rose-tinted glasses or whatever of why you like something, maybe it's because you listened to it 1,000 times. Yeah. I think these songs just don't necessarily stick out in people's heads. I also think there's some weird moments of music, like the rat scene that's not really a song, but kind of is a song. Yeah,
and that just feels so much like remember that thing we did in Muppets Take Manhattan? Let's do it better in Muppet Christmas Carol. Like it's the same scene basically, but more beautiful or something in a way. I did like the rat scene. I think the rats working in the restaurant was very funny.
Well, so getting back to the songs though, the writer of those was Jeff Moss. And he was the head writer and songwriter on Sesame Street, and he wrote The People in Your Neighborhood, I Love Trash, and Rubber Ducky. So this man has written...
That's unimpeachable.
Yeah. This man has written songs that go down in history that everyone knows. So
Saying Goodbye was nice, too. That was a nice number when they were all...
And so that's the thing, is I think all of these songs work really well in the moment. Yeah. I just don't think they linger as long as like a Rainbow Connection or something... Because I do think they all work really well for the reason they are there, but I think it's also partially, it's a weird musical because it is a musical, but a lot of the songs are happening like in the moment, so we have songs that happen on stage as a performance, which isn't necessarily always how the songs are happening in this world. We get more of the like saying goodbyes and kind of things where it's just happening over scenes while they're happening, like with a montage, but it's... So it's a little bit different, I think. And your summary of like how you felt about it being fast and not a lot of plot is true. I think it's wild how fast this movie moves through things. Most movies, if they're about 90 minutes, the inciting incident usually takes place around the 30-minute mark. Usually, the inciting incident of this, which I would say is like the big fight, when they decide, hey, let's go our separate ways, happens about 15 minutes in.
And it's not very dramatic because they fight for a second and then they're like, oh, we're sorry. And then they have like a little conversation with themselves without Kermit where they're like, let's go away. But it's not like Kermit is like, just get out of my life. I don't want you anymore or anything like that. Because he forgives them like immediately right after too.
Right. But I think for them, that moment is more impactful because this is Kermit for the first time ever, seemingly saying, why are you asking me? We failed. Like, he is admitting defeat. He has decided, no, we have failed.
Yeah. And maybe in that case, like, one of the things that really didn't work for me was right at the beginning, the fact that they are college students. It's like for no reason it resets your relationship with these characters or like changes the way that you think about them, when maybe it would be more impactful if he had yelled at them if they were the Muppets, like if they were like, I know they already did this in the Muppet movie, but it's almost like this, I think with a little bit of with some tweaks, this movie could have almost been like the origin for the Muppet Show, where they're in New York trying to sell a Broadway play. Maybe at the end they do fail but then like, okay, this is my headcanon. At the end they do fail, but then Statler and Waldorf are like, hey, we'll produce your play, even though we fucking hate you, but you have to do it in this shitty theater. And they're like, wow, at least we're somewhere and we're all together again. But like, since you don't know who these people are, really, you can't really assume that like Kermit's always been stalwart, except that you have to just like at the same time be like, I know who Kermit is, but also this guy's in college, and also Dr. Teeth's in college. Dr. Teeth would never go to college, and neither would Floyd in a million years. He went to doctor college, that's true, but he was forced to go.
I was gonna say, we literally saw him go to college. At
this point, and knowing Dr. Teeth in real life, you would think like Floyd would never go to college. You wouldn't catch that dude dead in college.
I mean, he went to West Point for a little bit.
I guess so. For a little bit, yeah.
What you're saying is absolutely true. It is a very weird reset, but I also think there is a little bit of a necessary reset. When you want to do a high concept Muppet movie, you have to reestablish the characters right at the beginning as like, all right, everyone, they're college students and go. And so
I just like the way they did it in Great Muppet Caper better, where Kermit looks at the camera and he was like, in this movie, where are these guys? I wish he had just done that again.
Maybe they just wanted to not have to do that every movie. And so this was their solution to that, was to just show you. I don't know if I would have liked it better or worse if he had just said to us, hey, we're college students this time, everyone. I know I'm like 50, but it's okay.
Yeah, none of these guys read as 22 or 21 at all.
Yeah, it is bizarre to think of them as college students, but also that part I think didn't rub me the wrong way because it's so unimportant to the actual story of the movie.
Maybe that's part of why it did rub me the wrong way.
That's fair.
Because it was so easy to not do that.
There was a point in this movie where, and I want to say at the top, I really like this movie. I still really enjoy this movie because I think the humor in this is exactly my favorite kind of Muppet humor. I am okay with the zany, wacky stuff, but there's times when it gets so zany and wacky that I start to gloss over and I'm like, I get it. Versus I think a really well-written script with some really good short little lines that you don't expect that just come out of nowhere will always get me. And I think that's why it's interesting to me that this and like the 2015 series feel almost like related in a way.
This one felt like the first modern Muppet thing we've seen, with a modern sensibility.
But that being said, there were scenes in this when I was going through where I was like, oh, you could cut that scene out and it wouldn't really matter. Oh, you could cut this scene out and it wouldn't really matter. Oh, you could also cut this. And I was like, oh, no, I got to stop because I'm realizing what's happening.
Movie now.
Yes. And so I think you are right in that there is not a ton of plot here. And things are both drawn out and happen extremely fast. And so I think there's some pacing issues with the script where, like, you're right. Like, the whole idea of Kermit getting a show and, like, having that success be a thing. Like, he's going to get a show successfully on Broadway. We find out an hour in to this hour and a half movie that he's gonna get a show on Broadway, and then he immediately gets amnesia because he gets hit by a car.
Yeah.
And so the fact that story isn't all about him really getting rejected in earnest because he's been doing all these ploys to try and work his way in it's a little messy.
Yeah. And at that point, it's like hard not to notice that the plot is jumping all over the place. When he gets hit by the taxi cab, you're like, and now this? What?
Well, and then you get
don't even have time to do this.
And then you get a whole side plot with the ad agency.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, okay, we're going to step aside and do this for a little while.
And I love those guys. I totally agree with you. I'm so conflicted about this movie because there is so much funny stuff in it that just does not go together in any way, really. I
mean, honestly, when I was watching it, it felt like I was watching multiple episodes of a show.
I thought the same thing when you said, then we get the episode with the ad agency. It's like, yeah, this is the episode where Kermit gets amnesia.
And I think like that, you could be a cliffhanger. Like the end of one episode is when he gets hit by a taxi and you're like, oh no, is Kermit dead? So it's just, I think there's a lot of small vignettes and scenes happening throughout this that, yes, do they always connect? Not always. Do they all matter? Mm-hmm. Not at all. Are they fun? Most of the time.
When I write my summaries, I can tell, like that's when I'm thinking about the plot of the movie a lot, and I can tell when I'm just like, I don't need to mention this is about like 40 minutes of the movie. I don't need to mention anything about all of his old friends going off to their different places. I don't need to mention anything about rats being hired to work at the diner. I don't need to mention anything about anything except him getting amnesia, basically.
Well, because he also only has amnesia for like 7 minutes.
Yeah, that too.
So as far as that really being like the biggest part, like problem of the movie, maybe not even problem, but as far as like if you're going to introduce a character having amnesia as a big issue in your plot, for it to be all wrapped up within 10 minutes is kind of surprising.
It's kind of crazy.
And the fact that they also, I think your note about Miss Piggy kind of aligns with all the other Muppets, is that it's like the moment Kermit walks out of the room, they all power down.
Yeah.
Like they don't exist without Kermit. Mm-hmm. And this is the first time they're really trying, and they all sort of fail at it in different ways. Uh-huh. But it is interesting that none of them, like they say the show must go on, but you don't see them really preparing to do that in any real way. They just keep saying, I guess we'll do this show tonight. But I have no idea what they were planning on doing had they not randomly run into Kermit at the diner.
I mean, I guess he's got an understudy. I guess Scooter would have been the main star or something. The next most boring Muppet, Scooter. I do think in terms of them powering down, like when you get their different little vignettes, I feel like Rolf really shined in his. And I think the Electric Mayhem were kind of like, that was pretty fun too. Them playing the being a polka band. But Rolf's little scene I really liked a lot.
Well, there's a moment in this too, speaking of the Electric Mayhem, that felt like it could have been in Muppets Mayhem. Uh-huh. It's when they're at the diner. It's right before Scooter's like telling everyone, hey, we should split. When he says, those producers looked at us like we came from outer space. And Zoot looks up like, and he freaks out about aliens, presumably, and Dr. Teeth has to calm him down and be like, whoa, no, man, no one's landed. It's all right.
Go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I think the other thing that they extrapolated from Muppets Mayhem that I really like is how whenever it happened in Great Muppet Caper too, when they're having when all the Muppets are like talking at the same time, and then Kermit's like, shut up. And then Janice is always like, I don't care what you say, Mom. I can be naked if I want to be. I feel like that is what and that happens in this movie too. Like that's the string they pulled to make her be like very calm, except for like this undercurrent of like complete insanity. I really like that moment too.
Apparently that moment is cut out. At one point, this movie was aired on BYU TV, and they cut out the line about Janice being nude. So sorry to any BYU students who listen to this podcast who have to hide under a blanket with a flashlight and listen to us so no one yells at you as many times as we talk about Miss Piggy being naked.
Yeah, and we swear too. There's like a part also where I think like Miss Piggy says Janice's name, and I was like, whoa. There's like a lot of people in this who never have ever talked to each other who are talking to each other, which is very interesting.
It is a really interesting group of Muppets to choose. And I think I thought about it a little bit when you see them in the lockers, because you've got like the Electric Mayhem, notably missing lips. You have Teeth, Janice, Floyd, Zoot, and Animal. And then you have Piggy, Kermit, Fozzie, Gonzo, Camilla, Scooter, and Rolf. And yes, is that the majority of the main gang of Muppets? Absolutely. But Sam the Eagle's not around until the wedding, and he just is there as a wedding guest. Camilla is there, which, again, we talked about this when we talked about the Muppet movie. Seeing the rise of Camilla is interesting because there isn't one. Yeah. She just randomly is made extremely important
in the Muppet movie, and then is made completely unimportant in the Muppet Show, and then again in this movie is extremely important.
In the movies, they act as if she is just as like popular and important as all the other Muppets forever. Yeah. But we rarely ever see that outside of the movies, at least so far in our watching.
Well, yeah. Now after this, I think she's a mainstay. She makes all the TV shows and stuff. So
speaking of, did Camilla also graduate college?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I think Kermit is like, at the beginning, he's like, it's very rare that frogs and bears and chickens and stuff even get to go to college.
That's right. Yeah. Good for Camilla. So this movie opens up with a credit that says, a Frank Oz film. Because this man not only wrote, but also directed this movie. And according to the Brian J. Jones biography, this is after Frank had significantly rewritten the script. And basically, he thought it was fair that this be called a Frank Oz film because he was doing so much. As he said, actually, I thought it was fair, or at least my ego wanted that. And Jim kept putting Oz off, sort of dismissing it with, we'll see. And then apparently a month before the film's release, Oz received a gift from Jim and David Laser that was a mantelpiece clock with a Frank Oz film inscribed on the top.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's a weird choice, but it was the thing that told him, like, you're getting your credit, sir. But the movie does open up with the song Together Again, a song that we referenced in the 2011 Muppets movie, and at the end of the Muppets Most Wanted, they sing it again.
I've only seen that movie once a long time ago. I don't remember that.
Same. I also did not remember that. But the Muppets do go to Danhurst College, and they're performing in the Senior Variety Show, which has been written by Kermit. Apparently one night only. This is the only time they're doing this. But dear God, do these college kids fucking love this show.
They love a musical at Danhurst College. A very stodgy, old-timey musical.
Yeah, these 80s kids fucking love it.
One thing I thought was that this was a period. I thought this was going to be a period piece. I thought this was set in like the 40s or something like that.
Yeah, I think like a lot of Muppets things, there are things that make it sort of unstuck in time. Because
the fashion in this one is very 80s.
The fashion is very 80s, but at times when Piggy is talking about them dating, she says they're pinned.
Right.
Which is a very 50s, 60s sort of slang term for going steady. And there's also a moment specifically that I did the math on when they're walking around during the You Can't Take No for an Answer scene when Dr. Teeth is singing. We see a montage of them walking through New York, getting rejected over and over and over. And we see one of those little paper calendars with the pages tearing off. And I looked because it starts on June 15th and says that's a Sunday. So I was like, aha. When was...
You got a beautiful mind, my friend.
When was June 15th on a Sunday? So according to this, it would be 1980 was the most recent June 15th on a Sunday before this movie came out. Or it would have been 1986, and it's a future movie.
Wow. Yeah.
But there's a problem with that, because later on, in that same montage, they show the calendar again, and now we're going from August to September. So it's been like 3 months of them walking around, being rejected, living in lockers. The problem comes in when they show that calendar. It says August 31st as a Tuesday, which did not happen in either 1980 or 1986.
Wow.
So this is a different year of a calendar. And this would mean that this calendar is either from 1982 or 1993 would be the next one.
They were in that locker for a long time.
Yeah, so either they were in there for 3 months or 2 years and 3 months if you want to trust the calendar.
Or a prop guy just said, we need a calendar. I'll draw one.
I've got these two from different years.
Yeah, what? That is really weird.
I think they probably just picked a random day of the week and put it on there as a prop.
Yeah.
But yeah, of course I had to do that math and figure out how long they were actually there. Because I was fascinated by the fact that they show such a clear timeline of we were in here for 3 months. Mathematically, calendar, math, whatever, it's actually like multiple years.
I love their cozy little lockers. Those are really cute. I want to be able to like look and see all the different like set dressing that each locker has.
Yeah, they each get some extra little things throughout the movie added to their little apartments, I guess you might call
like
them.
Piggy has pictures of Kermit clearly, but I want to see what I'm sure Gonzo has cute stuff. I'm sure they all have something.
Notable before they get to New York in that college scene, you've got a lot of Muppet performers showing up in the crowd. You've got Karen Prell, Martin P. Robinson, David Rudman, Steve and Melissa Whitmire, Jim Krupa, a bunch of people playing college students in the audience there, which totally makes sense because there's like 1,000 people in that room.
Yeah, there's a ton.
And it's a weird mix of like college student looking people and then like 70-year-old looking men. And so I'm like, I guess these are professors at the school or something.
Sure.
And speaking of the 80s outfits, at least Gonzo and Scooter, it's hard to see because you don't see everyone's legs, obviously. Mm-hmm. At least Gonzo and Scooter are rocking a sweet vest and denim jean combo that looks extremely 80s.
I'm looking at a full body picture of Gonzo, and he also has jeans on in this movie, I believe.
Yeah, so. I think Gonzo and Scooter both are rocking it. I don't know if like Fozzie and Rolf are wearing jeans. And I can't imagine that. And maybe why they avoid showing it, because it'd be very big jeans.
Like Homer Simpson jeans. Just like
straight-legged.
Round bottom with the straight legs, yeah.
But yeah, the last note I had about the college is Teeth is conducting the orchestra. They didn't bring their old pal Nigel along for this one.
No, he didn't get to go to college with them.
But what do you think about the lack of lips in this movie?
I don't expect there to be lips at this point and stuff, I think.
But he was clearly there in the Muppet Show.
This. He was clearly there on the Muppet Show, but you texted about this, and I think Steve was playing lips at this point, right?
Yeah.
And he just didn't know what to do with him. But I feel like he probably was just like, I got Rizzo now. Me and Rizzo are
guess
tight,
so
I don't need anybody else.
There is those moments where you think about certain characters interacting and you have a second, you're like, oh, yeah, it'd be nice if they interacted, and you realize why they don't. Is because now they're performed by the same guy. It's sort of like Uncle Deadly and Kermit. Now that Matt Vogel does both of them, I'm like, there was so many good moments of Kermit and Uncle Deadly on the 2015 series.
Right.
Back when Steve Whitmire was still doing Kermit. And now we probably won't get those anymore because the same man is performing both characters. Or, Floyd and Kermit. Like, there's lots of characters now who are performed by the same person who just makes it a lot harder for them to have the same scenes they would have had back in the 80s.
Yeah, that is it. I was thinking a lot about Floyd and Kermit when we were watching Muppets Mayhem because Floyd was such the mouthpiece of the Electric Mayhem. But now Dr. Teeth can be the main character of the Mayhem and talk to Kermit, which is kind of nice.
Well, the Muppets circle the first Broadway producer name that they see in the paper, Martin Price, and they go to hunt him down. He's played by Dabney Coleman, as Sam said very briefly, which is surprising.
Dabney Coleman, who they would have you believe is the main villain of the film, because I believe the guy whose show was
Merv
he on?
Griffin.
I believe Merv Griffin said, "You're the villain of the piece."
Yeah, he's not.
Like 3 seconds.
Yeah, he has a villainous role for a short period of time. But yeah, they have a brief exchange with Martin Price about the show, and that's when he tries to swindle them out of their $300 a piece to do the standard Broadway procedure, as he puts it. Mm-hmm. And when confronted by the police, because clearly he stole another woman's money, he takes Camilla and Gonzo hostage. The animal attacks him, yelling "bad man" repeatedly at him. And Dabney Coleman has to sell the fact that he is getting attacked by Animal while also still struggling to hold on to Camilla and Gonzo. And clearly this is just a man with 3 stuffed animals taped to him walking down a hallway.
Pinned to his body, running around.
Shuffling his feet so it looks like Animal is wiggling behind him. I texted Sam, I was like, Dabney Coleman deserved an Oscar for this.
He did a really good job. I just think it's so funny that he's like, in Merv Griffith, he was like, it's like performing with some really good actors. It's like you had 2 lines with them. You don't even know. And most of the time, you were controlling all of them.
Yeah, they come in, they sing, and you're done. That's it, sir.
And the whole movie, I was like, when's Dabney coming back? I thought he'd come back like in a disguise and be like a different producer. And be like,
or like in prison and he breaks out or something. That's part of the plot.
Yeah, be like a Snidely Whiplash type character who keeps trying to like get them.
Nope. No bad guy in this one.
I think this movie could have used a bad guy.
It could have, yeah. I think it is interesting because I do feel like there's parts where the bad guys in the previous 2 movies have moments that I wish weren't there or distract from the overall plot. But I do feel like they also add to it at points. And so I wrestle with the idea of introducing a bad guy to this, whether it's Dabney Coleman or somebody else, to be a foe throughout the whole thing. Because I love the idea of a Muppet movie that throws out the conventions of a lot of other Muppet things. Of like, yeah, we're going to have less stunts, less wacky things, no giant pies flying through the air. We're not going to have a villain who's trying to kill Kermit. And I like that. But I also understand why others might not.
I just wish they had thrown out the convention of all the Muppets are splitting up.
Did you catch that Gates McFadden played Mr. Price's secretary?
Of course I did. You mean Mega Babe Star Trek character Gates McFadden? I love so I pointed and I said, Rachel, run in here. It's Gates McFadden. And she did. And she said, wow.
And then it was like, is that all? Jenny was also on Next Generation, worth noting. And everyone in this movie was also in Broadway and on Law & Order at some point because they all seem to be New York-based actors. I mean, the guy who plays Pete, Louis Zork, he played 2 different judges on Law & Order. But after, Martin Price goes to jail, assumedly, they get rejected by many more in the montage we talked about already. And so that also leads to the walking down the street, dejected, the big fight they have before heading into Pete's Diner. One thing I wanted to note is when they're walking down the street, having their little tiff, there's a man in the background doing a puppet show.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah, he's just on the side of the street, like doing a little hand puppet show. And I couldn't find out, like, if he was somebody. I don't know if he, was something. But, Googling puppeteer Muppets Take Manhattan is not the easiest thing.
Yeah. It is actually the easiest thing. It's so easy that you're never going to find
overwhelmingly easy. But we head on into Pete's Diner and meet Jenny and Pete. And the most prominent performance from Rizzo the Rat that we have seen so far.
He has fully come into his own at this point.
This is Rizzo.
He is fully Rizzo.
Rizzo, at one point, even yells, "Hey, Pete, where's the beef?" And guess what, Sam?
What?
When they shot this movie, that ad hadn't come out yet.
That's where they got the idea? That's where they got the idea alert. Ding, 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 ding.
So the ad came out 6 months before the movie came out. But they shot this in 1983.
Whoa.
So the ad came out between the movie being shot and the movie coming out. So it seems like a reference to Where's the Beef, but it can't be.
Or Wendy's was like, we got a hot new ad campaign coming out. Let's get some guerrilla marketing in.
Can you film a quick pickup?
Muppets Take Manhatten. Yeah. Let's have a rat say it, too. Because everybody, even in this movie, everybody loves rat food.
What do you think of Pete and Jenny?
I love Pete, and Jenny's getting added to my list of Muppet babes, I gotta say.
I would, if I was the same age as Jenny in the 80s, I'd be crushing on Jenny.
Big time. Pete's hilarious. That's one of the only clips I've seen is when he says, "People's is people's." And he does that so many times in the movie, and every time it's funny.
Just everything he says is pretty much nonsense, but he says it in a way that it sounds like it should be helpful. When he's yelling at the rats, or he's like, "All right, no big shoes, cheese, dancing," it's like, all right, sure.
I love the diner setting, and I wish that's like part of me wishes the Muppets were in it more so that there could be more of the diner setting because I think it was so fun. And it also made me sad that Pizza Rizzo is not, you can't see the little rat scurrying around bringing you your pizza and stuff like that.
Just have little, like when you go to a sushi place that has the conveyor belt and it brings out your sushi, you just have little rats on a conveyor belt just like holding up pizzas.
Big, like a rat with a big distended belly because it ate all the sushi. It's just like sleeping on the thing. Yeah.
But we learn about Jenny that she is going to fashion design college, and apparently that ends up just meaning you can make our costumes for us when we go to Broadway.
Yeah, and then get the fuck out of the movie. She doesn't even get a resolution of any sort.
I mean, she's there for their big night.
Yeah, but there could at least be a scene where like the producer young man is like, "Hey, baby," that's not how every movie with a woman in it has to end. But she needed something, because I feel like at the end Jenny was just like, "Okay, bye to all my friends who I met." It sure would have been fun to go to your wedding, Kermit, who I spent months with.
Well, again, if the wedding is in the play, she's not going to get on stage in the play.
Yeah, why is Bert and Ernie in it then, huh?
Well, that's a good question. To be fair, it's similar to like how the 2015 Muppets series ends when they realize what they've been missing is all their old friends. And they try to...
except that whole series builds up to that resolution. This does not.
Yeah.
Kermit knows he needs all his friends.
It is also interesting that, again, if you like, I think that the memory of this movie is different than the movie. If you were to ask people about this movie, because you have a main character in this movie is Ronnie Crawford, the boy, the young man who's probably 40,
the producer guy,
who is producing this play for them. He's only in 20 minutes of this movie.
I mean, he's literally probably only in 45 seconds of this movie.
Oh, his actual screen time maybe, yes, is even less. Yeah. But as far as like being involved in the plot of the movie, he's only there for 20 minutes.
That I would have guessed he was in it much longer than that.
And I think that's the thing, especially if like, you've seen this movie in the past. Like for me, a lot of this stuff happens earlier, like in the movie than it actually does. Thankfully though, Ronnie Crawford also lets us meet Bernard Crawford, played by Art Carney, who we have seen multiple times.
He's an old friend.
Yeah, he starred in The Great Santa Claus Switch, where he played Cosmo Scam. And
Santa.
He was also in the Perry Como Winter Show, where he played like everybody, or he was like a cop and a Santa or something. I don't really remember.
Cop who like tells a drunk who tells like a really sad story. Is that part of what he is?
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah,
he is a cop. He definitely plays like 3 or 4 different people. But
yeah, because he also is at the swingers ski party later on, I think.
Yeah, he's like the bartender, or he's just Art Carney at that point. I can't really remember.
I think you're right. I think he is supposed to be playing himself at that point. So yeah, he just pops up as random people. So he's had quite the run with the Muppets, I would say. And I think this is the last time he will interact with the Muppets, but
he goes out with a bang though. He's got some great one-liners in this part. Like when Ronnie's like, "I just want to try something different." He says, "Well, then put some Jell-O down your pants."
Also, when Ronnie first sees his dad, he says, "Dad, I've got great news." And he just says, "If you two are in love, I don't want to hear about it."
Yeah.
Which a bit judgmental there from Bernard.
It's a bit judgmental, but at the same time, it's like considering the circumstances.
Because he's a frog.
Like he's a little stuffed frog guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's the fact that he's a male frog that's upsetting Bernard. No, I think the fact that he is a frog and his son is a boy, man, human.
A little cartoon frog man. Yeah.
I think it is interesting that when the fact that Scooter is the one who convinces people to do things is kind of surprising in general. Yeah. But also the fact...
They would have said the Muppet Show, "Get out of here, you little nerd."
But also the fact that they do it by lying to Kermit.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Yeah, they all lie to him. "Oh, yeah, we got great job offers. We need to leave town. Sorry, Kermit, we got to go. We don't need you anymore." And I understand it, but it is an interesting departure for the Muppets.
Yeah. And it's just, I feel like it's like the reason why is kind of sketchy. I was not following entirely their logic.
I think the problem is we only have the only scene we see where it feels like Kermit is in charge and everyone depends on him and that he's stressed by it is the scene where he yells at them and says, "Why are you asking me?"
Before.
If we had seen anything like that even once before, like at the school or something, maybe we could have bought in a little bit more. But because we don't see that at all until it breaks, it does. It's like you said earlier with the college student thing, where there's just like there's ideas introduced that you just kind of have to go, "All right, that is the truth.
Yeah.
I accept that this is the way it is. I accept that Kermit has always done this, even though there's no evidence currently in front of me."
It makes them seem like horrible friends too.
Right. Yeah, because you just assume it makes you actually assume maybe the worst of them, of like, oh, are they really just constantly asking him what they should be doing with their lives?
Yeah.
Did they only go to that college because he told them to?
Yeah. And then the first time there's any kind of pushback, they're like, we're getting out of here. And we're not telling this guy.
Yeah. Which leads to the saying goodbye song and montage. Piggy's leaving on a train. I guess she comes back because she's not gone for very long.
She just gets right off the train. Yeah.
Gonzo and Camilla have hopped on a truck. The Mayhem are hitchhiking on the side of the road as Rolf goes by in a Greyhound bus. And Fozzie, who seems like probably he'd be the least competent out on his own.
He shouldn't be allowed.
Yeah, I worry the most about Fozzie, is also on a train, but he's just hopping in a boxcar.
Yeah, which makes sense for him also. He's a shabby kind of guy. But there's this in this part, there's simultaneously the cutest and also kind of most challenging scene. One of them when Fozzie and Rolf are hugging.
Oh,
and it's just like a mingling of these two different brown versions of the same fabric, and their hug is very tender.
Yeah,
and it's like, this looks like the most cozy hug I've ever seen in my life. But also, they're just like hugging and rubbing each other so much. It's like, what's going on here?
Well, and they pull back, and Scooter's just there, like he was just behind them the whole time. Like, hey guys, good hug. I'm a fan.
I could believe if this was like the Muppet Show universe, I could believe that Rolf and Fozzie would be that sad to see each other go. They had some great moments together.
That is one thing that I think Frank Oz set out to do and did really well, is these characters feel real. They feel like they have a life. They feel like they like each other. They feel like they have been friends for a long time.
They feel like they like each other way more than I have ever felt like they've liked each other up to this point, too. There is not a lot of like sniping at each other, really.
No, in the moment that the first time we again see that happen at all is when they're walking in the street and they're all tired and hungry and exhausted of being rejected. Yeah. And they start sniping at each other a little bit, but it's shut down pretty quickly where everyone's like, hey guys, stop fighting. Like they seem like good friends. Yeah. And I think that hug does seem very, touchy-feely, very friendly, very lovey. But I did have the problem when watching this that I just kept seeing all the moments that I took out for my Muppets Take Manhatten, Tick Tick Boom edit that I did.
Yeah, you ruined it for yourself.
I kind of did, because that's the moment in the trailer for Tick Tick Boom where Andrew Garfield's character is talking about losing friends to AIDS and how he went to 3 funerals this year. And I use the moment where Fozzie and Rolf are hugging.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So it's the scene takes on a different context after you've edited it into a different context. I'm trying to remember, what did Rolf do in The Great Muppet Caper?
He's hanging out with the Mayhem a lot, and he's playing piano with them during the Happiness Hotel scene. But other than that, I don't think he does very much.
That's what I thought, because obviously in the Muppet movie, you have him like working at the restaurant playing piano. And it's just interesting how Rolf is a pretty big character in this movie when he's typically relegated off to the side of like, and Rolf's here.
To the point where often in the other movies, he will be like, and I'm here too.
Yeah, the 2011 movie has a very good joke about that when they're showing the montages of how they recruited everyone. And he's like, hey, why didn't I get a montage? And they cut to it, and it's just him in a hammock, and they go, hey, Rolf, want to come with? He's like, yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the Muppets they chose, and I do think I agree that they've, sanded off some of the edges, but I also enjoy them being real people so much.
Yeah.
That
me too.
It's a delicate balance there that I think they get right in a lot of ways in this movie.
I think especially after Muppets Mayhem, where they are even more real people, it's kind of like, it's an easier transition.
And I understand that not everyone likes that version of the Muppets. Like, I know that a lot of people don't like the Muppets being super relatable, or I think people like the Muppets for the escapism at times, for the wacky, zany bits, and don't want to necessarily deal with them having breakups and relationships, but I'm all for it. Speaking of, Pete and Rizzo have a fantastic relationship. That guy is so good with puppets.
The guy who plays Pete is basically like a human Swedish chef almost.
You're not wrong.
He is a Muppet.
Maybe that's why they couldn't have the Swedish chef be in there. Like, too similar. Yeah. You got to go.
Yeah. I do think there's another version of this movie maybe where they go there to be on Broadway. They all end up working in this diner. They help him make the diner better by learning to accept like the rats and other weird things. And it's like actually, a bunch of different people working together does make something work better, which is what my play is missing. Maybe the play is like Kermit in the lead role so much that it's like, I'm Kermit. And then he's got to be like, I got to take a step back. But maybe that's not really in Kermit's character so much.
Well, I do like your idea of more people working at the diner because I do think it works well when Piggy starts working there. And Kermit working there with all the rats makes sense to me. So I think the idea of having Floyd and Dr. Teeth and everything trying to be waiters or whatever sounds like a decent concept to me. But instead, Rizzo invites a bunch of other rats, including Yolanda. Rizzo's, from now on, person of interest is not the way to word that.
That's like she committed a crime and was after
the lady rat that Rizzo loves.
Yeah, he's got the one way love interest kind of.
Yeah, Yolanda doesn't care too much about Rizzo.
But you're forgetting about
Tatooey.
You're forgetting about Tatooey, Masterson, and Chester.
Chester, who's only
the rat who's so sick.
Yeah. He says he's like, I don't feel so good. It's like
it's not bad enough that he is a rat working at a restaurant. He's an extremely sick rat, which like in the 80s, it doesn't even seem like they're like, oh, he's sick. But nowadays it's like, bro, you can't go to work when you're sick.
Yeah, the whole rat gang is here to work in the kitchen. Well, first there's
Tatooey made me laugh so loud because there's just like a rat with a big tattoo on his chest, a sailor rat named Tatooey.
Named Tatooey, of course. But Kermit also gets hired at the diner to, I guess, make some money while he unveils his 3-part plan to get onto Broadway and get all of his friends back. And part 1 is if you can't beat him, join him. So he pretends to be a Broadway producer or agent, something like that, and has an afro wig, sunglasses, an ascot, and an amazing pink shirt.
Yeah, and this is when he's being Grover.
Yeah, hey, sweetheart, I just flew in from the coast.
Which is like, again, Kermit in this movie is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
This is my favorite Kermit performance, I think, ever.
Jim gets to do so much, and it feels like he's having so much fun.
Yeah.
When
he is melding in some of his Sesame Street, too, I feel like. Like, he's being bigger like he can be on Sesame Street.
Yeah. And not just in an angry way, which is normally when we see him break out of his calm demeanor, it's usually because he's yelling at somebody.
Kermit is seldom angry in this movie at all.
Yeah, we have that
when
one
he
outburst.
has amnesia, he is in fact incredibly calm to a concerning degree.
Yeah, he doesn't get the best medical care too, but we'll get to that. For now, we have Leonard Winesop's office is where Kermit is headed. Leonard Winesop, played by John Landis. But before we meet him, we see Leonard Winesop's receptionist, played by Frances Bergen, the actress who is also the mother of Candace Bergen and the wife of Edgar Bergen.
Oh, okay.
Who I looked up to see, like, oh, I know Edgar at this point had died. He died after his Muppet Show appearance. So I was like, oh, how old is she? Well, come to find out, when they got married, he was 42 and she was 23.
Well, okay.
Because in 1941... she met Edgar Bergen after a radio program when he was 38 and she was 19. She had just graduated high school and was in the audience for one of his shows as a guest and sitting in the front row. And he was like, hey, that girl with the long legs, I'd like to meet her.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, again...
Well, I guess I would also explain why he's dead and she's not at this point.
It's also 1941, so, you know... The fact that she was 19 and not married, people are probably like, what's wrong with you, lady?
Oh, yeah. Spinster material.
Yeah. But John Landis is the one who plays Leonard Winesop once they get into the office. Notable director. Directed both Blues Brothers, Animal House, and a bunch of other things too. But those two, you probably have heard of. He also performed Grover at the end of the Muppet movie when there was 180 people needed on stage to hold people. He was one of them that was tasked with holding Grover during that. But here, he just kind of is somebody who is baffled by Kermit's producer persona.
Kermit, who is lounging on his desk, full body lounging.
For about a second before he says, oh, I think you hear my beeper.
My beeper, yeah, which is like, whoa, we're in the 80s.
Yeah, sorry, people who were born when I was winning Guitar Hero tournaments. A beeper is a little
if
device
you don't know what a beeper
that
is.
I think doctors maybe still use in some way. But yeah, it used to be everyone had one.
Yeah, and you just call it, and it beeps, and it says, call this person. Then you have to find a payphone.
Yeah, and you could, like, type little messages on there, almost like a text, but, like, 6 characters long.
So unfortunately, Kermit's persona does not work to convince Lenny, and Lenny throws his script in the trash. I do like that once he leaves the office, Kermit is exhausted by the performance he has just put on. He gets out of the office and just collapses like, oh my God, that was so hard. I love that real Kermit is still there. He doesn't easily become another guy. It takes a lot for him to put that on. So Kermit goes to meet up with Jenny, and in the background we see Statler and Waldorf sunbathing on a bench in the middle of New York for some reason. And this is when Piggy sees Kermit and Jenny hanging out together, and Jenny gives him a reassuring hug, which obviously means they're in love and Piggy must have a violent outburst.
But at the same time, it maybe does mean that. I'm not really sure. I think there's I think they have chemistry.
I think they have chemistry, and it's that thing, where if they didn't run into Piggy a little while later and he was just alone with Jenny for the next month, maybe they start dating. But for now, he still, has a little bit of a flame there for Piggy, because we do get confirmation that they are dating in this reality. They say they are pinned, and at the beginning, Piggy says, well, the only reason we haven't gotten married is because we don't have money, which is interesting for two college students to be deciding, we should get married, but someday when we have money.
That was different times, man. You could actually make money back then.
It also feels like maybe something Kermit has just been saying because he doesn't want to get married. Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's some amount of money that when we hit that amount of money, I will tell you we have hit it, and then we can get married.
He does seem like he genuinely likes her. Yeah. There, except when he's got amnesia and he's really horrible.
Right.
Which I think would maybe change the tone of your entire relationship.
But he doesn't object to any of it at the beginning when they're talking about their relationship. It very clearly is the fact that they are dating and probably have been for a while. And Piggy realizes she's late for work, so she rushes back to the first scene that I thought for sure could have been easily lifted out of this episode or movie. Because she's late for work at a perfume counter with Joan Rivers, who's playing a character named Eileen, apparently.
Who could have been a great reoccurring character in the film. Her little helper of some sort.
But nope. We get one scene of Eileen just making a nice little cameo. Joan Rivers just putting makeup on a pig and also on her own face. But this is the scene in which apparently Frank Oz had told the story recently on a Tough Pigs interview that they were trying to get it and they just couldn't figure out how to make it good. And so Joan Rivers and Frank Oz went out and had a couple gin and tonics and came back and were like, all right, let's do this.
They don't seem particularly loose to me.
See, I think they do.
Really?
I think there's moments in this where Frank Oz feels like he did not know what was about to happen.
That's true.
The moment when Joan Rivers draws eyebrows on herself, there's like a slight slip in Piggy's voice where she's like, why are you doing that? And it's like, I don't know if her putting makeup on her own face was maybe in the script. Like, I know clearly she was supposed to put makeup on Piggy. They would have planned for that. But I'm wondering if the putting makeup on her own face was not in the script.
It made me very anxious to see Joan Rivers drawing all over Miss Piggy. I did not. I like it. I like that scene, but that was just like such a violation of what we know of. Like, if I worked with the Muppets, I would be afraid to even touch them. But to be like,
well, and there's been times I've seen at red carpets where they like someone wearing lipstick will go to kiss one of the Muppets, and they're like, nope, can't kiss me. You're gonna stain me.
Right. I will be ruined forever.
So yeah, it is wild that they just like decided this Piggy puppet, it's a wash.
We're done. Unless, this is another thing I was thinking, like they had it like really water soluble and it wasn't actually makeup. Like maybe.
I mean, I have to imagine they're making multiple puppets for each film, so they probably just said, we're making one, go for it. And they probably actually had 2 or 3 ready in case something got messed up.
To be destroyed. Yeah.
But yeah, that is one of the scenes that when I'm looking up on Muppet Wiki has been lifted out of different TV airings because it isn't important at all to the plot. The one that comes right after that also has been edited out, which is the rat scat, is what it's called. Whereas the rats are dancing around the kitchen, pouring pancake batter out onto actual griddles.
And then stepping on the pancakes.
Yeah, surfing on the butter pad. And I can't imagine how many takes this all took to get right. Because they're catching toast in the air.
It is really cool.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And apparently Jim Henson had a big hand in staging this scene.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And they apparently used real butter for Masterson's skating because it said in Muppet Wiki, originally thought to be too obvious of a solution, it worked better than anything else they tried. And apparently Faz Fazakis made pancake batter from a paint formula originally that was so caustic that it etched pits into the stainless steel bowls. So instead they used real pancake batter in the movie.
Why did they try the hard thing first?
I don't know, but I love the idea that he invented like an acid that was just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I don't think we can use this for anyone's safety.
They got all that Fraggle Rock practice now. They can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like
It does.
like have rats skating around.
Yeah, it does feel like with each thing you can see the progression in the puppetry. I think especially when we get to the Muppet Baby section, there's a lot happening in there that doesn't make sense if you think about it. But I think the other thing that this movie does really well is I don't notice the puppetry. It's just all happening
totally.
and doesn't make me think about it. Like it doesn't draw the attention to itself, but it is extremely impressive. Well, Kermit gets some letters from his friends updating him on what they're up to. Scooter's off in Cleveland working at a movie theater where Attack of the Killer Fish in 3D is playing. And Swedish Chef working concessions. And New Zealand is there to see the movie, or really to be a menace to society.
Yeah, he's just one of those creeps who goes to the movies and like talks the whole time or whatever, except he's throwing fish. Because of course
throwing
is.
fish at the audience during the 3D movie about fish, which is pretty good, gotta say.
That's pretty good. I still didn't want to see this guy, but
No.
I guess if we have to. I did like the Swedish Chef was throwing popcorn at his face and he was like, it's in 3D, it's in 3D.
And Scooter says, Chef, that's not how 3D works.
Oh, it's not right. Yeah.
Fozzie is in Maine, hibernating, or at least trying to. He can't sleep. And learns that the cave that he's in is co-ed and seems rather uncomfortable with that idea of sleeping next to a woman named Beth.
And then she hugs him and he seems even more uncomfortable about that.
Yeah, he cries out for Kermit to help him. And the mayhem is outside Pittsburgh, playing polka at a beer hall.
They kind of seem like they're having an okay time.
Yeah, similar maybe to Muppets Mayhem, where the Mayhem are such like passive, chill characters that you can kind of put them in any situation and just let them go, and they're like, this is fine.
They're like, all right, we get to make music, man, so whatever.
But Kermit's second part of his plan is a whispering campaign, where he's going to go to Sardi's, the actual restaurant, Sardi's, and do his best Link Hogthrob impression as a producer here, saying,
and smuggle in a coat full of rats.
Yeah. So the rats start their whisper campaign, whispering, is that rich producer over there? The one producing Manhattan Melodies? He's invested millions.
It works like a charm.
Yeah,
too.
everyone's like, oh, that is, look at him, look at the mustache.
And he puts his picture up on the wall and he takes down Liza Minnelli's. And they said that picture's still up on the wall in Sardi's.
Yeah, it's not exactly in that same spot. Liza, I think, got her spot back.
Because Liza's got to be there, yeah.
But yeah, Kermit's caricature that he swaps out for Liza Minnelli's is still hanging up at Sardi's if you go there today. I think it's on the second floor behind a column.
Okay. That makes sense.
But yes, the real Liza Minnelli does come into Sardi's and confronts Vincent Sardi himself, the owner of the restaurant. Also worth noting that David Laser is the guy who walks in with Liza Minnelli when they first come into the restaurant.
Whoa.
Which
Cool.
is like a nice little cameo, but also a nice callback that we've learned during the Muppet Show that David Laser was sort of the one responsible for making sure the guests had a good time while they were in London,
Right.
of taking them out to eat
Right.
and all that stuff. So it also would make sense that David Laser would be doing that.
I liked seeing Liza. I feel like she's another person who's like genuinely into the Muppets or like genuinely excited about the Muppets.
Well, and she's just so good at everything. Arthur is one of those movies that I could watch. Like,
I gotta watch that.
yes, Liza Minnelli is amazing in Arthur. Not everything about Arthur holds up extremely well, but she does. There's also a cameo in the Sardi's group of people. One of the customers is played by Jane Hunt, Richard Hunt's mom. She's one of the people who absolutely loses their shit when they see rats.
Well,
I get being upset, but they act like the building is on fire.
that's a lot of rats to be coming out from
It's like
and like getting
5.
on top of your food. I think I would freak out that bad too. If a rat was just like boom onto your plate of salad or whatever,
But what if he had a cool tattoo on his chest?
that maybe I'd be like, okay, wait a minute.
I have more
Tell me
questions.
more about yourself. What's your name?
Tattooey.
Okay. This makes sense.
So once that plan has failed, Jenny and Kermit are relaxing in Central Park and decide to go for a jog to get their mind off of it, I guess.
Yeah, this was in the era when jogging was still like It's like that joke in Anchorman where it's like jogging, you know?
Yes.
Except this is real and everybody's like, jogging's fucking crazy.
Which is, again, a little dated because it feels like the 60s and 70s is really when jogging was becoming more of a thing and people were like, whoa, you just run slowly for fun? Weird. So I think it's one of those things that by this point seems to have caught on enough as a hobby that some people would do because no one is like, jogging, I don't know, I've never tried before. Except maybe Piggy, who is exhausted immediately when she tries to keep up with Kermit and Jenny.
I think at one point she says, "Dear Lord, not jogging."
Yeah. But as she's trying to chase them down, she stops by a lamppost, puts her hand in some gum, which distracts her from a mugger who steals her purse. Yeah. And then she goes and borrows some roller skates from Gregory Hines.
And then turns into a real person.
A terrifying human inside of a piggy costume.
This made me really wonder if they tried super hard to make a puppet that could roller skate and just couldn't do it.
Just a terribly slow,
they do bikes.
Like,
so bikes, it seems like the next step would be roller skating. And that would actually be even easier to make something that could just go.
I mean, clearly not, because they didn't do it.
But I guess not. Yeah.
But yeah, there's a chase scene that goes on for a while when Piggy chases down the person who stole her purse and jumps down on top of him from a rock in Central Park. And the police take him away, but Kermit and Jenny see the commotion and come on over and be like, Piggy, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be off having a job elsewhere, in Cleveland or somewhere.
Yeah, it almost makes you wonder if the Miss Piggy spying subplot was completely pointless and a waste of time. But I like when Gregory Hines is like refereeing their fight. He's like, "Are you two-timing her?" Oh, and then at the end he wants his roller skates back, and then at the end he's like, "Actually, I don't need them back. I just like running around in short pants."
Yeah, he's like, "I don't use them." Yeah, no, he's fantastic in that thing, and it's the timing of him running up to them is wild that they decided to do it this way because Kermit and Jenny walk over to Piggy and start talking to her. And there's a really long, like uncut, like minute-long scene that happens with them. And there's 30 seconds between the beginning of that conversation and when you see Gregory Hines start jogging up from the background. And then it takes him 20 seconds to jog from back there all the way up to the scene. So it's like a full minute almost when they were like, all right, and go. Please time this out right and get there as soon as they need you to get there.
Exactly when you need to be. That is crazy. I didn't think about that.
Like a minute's a really long time to time out a scene that perfectly, and it's so unnecessary.
Yeah, when he could have just run in from like
they could have just cut the shot and had him go, "Hey!" But this is when they decide to take a carriage ride. Now that they've reconciled, and Piggy imagines, "What if we had known each other forever, Kermit?"
Now this is the thing I was telling you about that made me furious. Because why couldn't she just say, "We've known each other forever"? Why did she have to say, "Imagine if we knew each other forever"? What is the difference between her just saying, "Remember when we grew up together and we've been in love forever"? It just seems so pointless for her to be like, imagine if. Right? It's so weird.
It feels like they didn't want to commit at this moment to the Muppet Babies being a canon for some reason, even though they're about to do an animated series of it. And in Muppet Family Christmas, they show it. So it feels...
I think that's why it made me so confused, because I was like, I just thought this was how this version of the characters grew up together.
Right. Yeah, no, it is odd. And it's weird, too, when you think about it, of like, oh, yeah, well... I guess the Mayhem didn't get to hang out with you guys when you were babies.
Well, they were old. They were already grown up.
I guess. I mean, they are. Yeah. When we see Muppet Babies, we will see that the Mayhem are older than the rest of the Muppets. Yeah.
But it makes the Muppet Babies be a dream sequence in a movie that isn't even really them. So it's like so many layers removed from reality at this point.
Yeah, no, it's again one of those where you don't pull the thread too much. Because I think the moment you do, you're like, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense.
It just would have been sweet if she'd been like, we've known each other forever and I've always been in love with you. Let's think back to this time.
Right. But instead, we just get a bizarre song sung while they're imagining what it would have been like to be babies together. I think the problem is like it feels more like the zany, wacky Muppets that aren't present throughout the rest of this movie. which is the only reason it feels weird.
Yeah, they're cute little babies though. And when Rolf's jumping on the bed and he flips upside down and his mouth is still moving, I was like,
Yeah,
what?
that's what I'm saying. Like,
I was trying to figure out how they were doing it in the first place. And then when he flipped around, I was like, the way that I thought they were doing it couldn't possibly be true. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah, there's only like one brief glimpse of when Piggy's standing against the piano while Rolf's playing. You can see like right behind her, there's like a shadow from clearly like an arm,
shadow of
where like the hole is like right there. And they do mention,
could have just moved the camera a little bit.
Yeah, and they do mention in the Brian J. Jones book that there was a lot of very clever camera angles used to hide the puppetry in that. And we watched a little bit of a behind the scenes clip that I believe was aired on HBO that does show some of the behind the scenes of that scene. And you can see, like just out of frame, there's like 6 dudes over there. And they've talked about how those puppets are harder to puppeteer than their normal Muppets because they're so compact and weird that like they're trying to get a lot of character out of a smaller thing that isn't as flexible.
Right. The other thing that stood out to me was that Jim is not good at doing a baby voice, in my opinion.
Well, so that's the thing is I think some of them really work and sound similar to their Muppet Babies cartoon counterparts, but like Baby Rolf and Baby Scooter are rough. They do not sound much like their counterparts at all.
Baby Rolf and Muppet Babies has like a kind of a cute little tough kid voice, right?
Still very gravelly, but in a cute way.
Yeah.
Then we see Brooke Shields at the diner, very briefly getting hit on by a rat waiter.
Masterson, do you believe in interspecies dating?
Yeah. And we get some more letters from the rest of Kermit's friends, including Gonzo writing a letter from Michigan, where he's taking up water skiing. And he's part of a whole show, which a water skiing show in Michigan in the fall seems unlikely. But again, unstuck in time. I did like there's a man dressed in a giant chicken costume driving the boat who is just completely...
Yeah. He calls her like Elizabeth
Margaret. He's like, thank you, Margaret. And the guy just gives a thumbs up.
I like that too.
I like the guy in the audience too because Gonzo introduces them as I'm forgetting the song they sing, but he says I think in the style of Tony Bennett, and the guy in the crowd just goes, "Don't sound like Tony Bennett to me."
Tony Bennett.
We get to see Rolf in Delaware managing a dog boarding place, where James Coco comes in playing Mr. Skeffington with his dog Snookums.
Yeah, he has a very unhealthy relationship with this dog.
Yeah.
And then he drops him off after making him doing a little baby voice, and all the other dogs are like, heh, which is pretty good.
You know, those other dogs that one of them, the puppet at least, is Rufus, our old pal.
Yeah, Rufus was crammed back there. I saw him.
But then there's also a letter from Bernard Crawford saying, hey, I would love to produce your show. Spoiler alert, it's Ronnie, not Bernard.
But also, spoiler, it doesn't matter because Bernard still is like, Ronnie, pick a show out and I'll produce it. He doesn't even have to be secretive about it.
That is very true. Hadn't thought about that.
And Kermit doesn't know any producer. Like, he could just say, I'm a producer. And Kermit would say,
yeah,
terrific,
he would take
right
anything
there.
at this point. And this is the point in the movie where Kermit jaywalks and gets hit by a car after being so excited and telling Jenny and Piggy that they got the show. We're going to open in 2 weeks, apparently. And immediately gets hit by a car.
And also, just for context, we are at the end of the movie. We
are an hour into the movie. It's an hour and a half movie. We have a half hour left, and they have just...
And Kermit has amnesia now.
Yes, they have just achieved their dream, and he immediately gets amnesia. There's a very cute thing that happens when they all go to search for Kermit, and it's they leave Pete behind at the diner, but they ask Pete to send out telegrams to everyone.
Letters to all his friends, people he doesn't know and has never met in his life.
But he has no hesitation about doing it. He's like, absolutely, I'm on it.
Yes. Is Kermit, is Broadway, is time. And he does it, actually does a good job.
We get to see everyone reading their telegrams. We learn that Beauregard and Beaker were with the Mayhem at the beer hall.
They were just there the whole time.
There's apparently a cut scene where Beauregard is responsible for bringing the Mayhem back to New York at this moment, like driving them or something. But yeah, it was interesting to see.
I read
them
there was a
show
cut
up.
scene where they're doing experiments on animal too. Somehow that is tied into something.
Interesting.
Or it's in the comic book, I think, where they're doing something to him. Yeah. But then I saw them and I was like, the whole movie I was kind of like, there seems like there's people missing, but I can't think of who. And then I saw Bunsen and Beaker and I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about those guys. We haven't seen them in a long time.
They ain't there. Instead, we have Linda Lavin as the doctor here, kind of treating Kermit, but really just telling him, hey, do you think you might be Enrique Tortellini of Passaic, New Jersey?
I really don't feel Italian. She just walks in to say a million times, as you know, you have amnesia. And she does those little like things and leg movements and stuff. And I tweeted about this, but it was like, that was like giving me ASMR. And I was imagining like a ASMR video where it's like, POV, you're Kermit, you have amnesia. And it's somebody with like Kermit legs being like, up, 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 up. And if I was not as embarrassed of myself as I am, I would make this video. Like, all right, Kermit, unfortunately you have amnesia. I'm going to lift up your leg. Now I'm going to feel your jaw. Because it's like literally what they do in ASMR and medical videos.
Yeah.
It's just like, no. Yeah. But I really liked this part. Was so funny. I thought.
It's so funny until the resolution is just, all right, go out, get a job.
I thought that was funny.
You'll be fine
too.
on your
Give me a
own.
suit.
That is not how you handle. If anyone in your life
That's the American
gets
medical
amnesia,
system, my friend.
I don't think you just send them out the door and say, yeah, go get a job. I'm sure you'll be fine.
He didn't have any clothes or identification.
Yeah.
He didn't know.
Well, how was he supposed to get a job?
No.
I guess he got a nice suit, I guess, that he
He got a
wears
job.
to the ad agency.
I think they tell him they're going to give him a suit.
Oh.
And then they kick him out. And then he finds more frogs and falls right in.
Yeah,
with
he
them.
wanders into the Ocean Breeze soap meeting at this ad agency.
Called Mad Avenue Advertising Agency. I think
Yeah,
it
these
was
are the
called.
Mad Frogs of the Mad Men universe.
Yeah.
Bill, Gil, and Jill. He just makes up a name on the fly, and it is Philip Phil because he sees Filler Up on a
And they-
gas station ad.
And they love it too. Yeah. One of these frogs has ears.
One of them has
which
ears,
is-
and they all have a disturbing amount of hair.
They really reminded me of the boring Fraggles from that episode we just watched.
Yeah, the cave fraggles.
Mhm,
They are quite
mhm.
dull. Not as exciting as the Mad Men energy we see from those ad workers. They are trying to pitch some ideas for Ocean Breeze soap. One is for people who don't want to stink, or just like taking an ocean cruise, only there's no boat and you don't go anywhere.
Too long.
And so Kermit comes in, seals the deal with Ocean Breeze soap. We'll get you clean.
Don Draper shit.
It's all right.
They like it.
Yeah, they like it, which is fine. That's all that matters. It gets him the job. But I think not his best work. I think he could do better if he spent a few more minutes
His
on it.
brain's all fucked, dude.
That's true. He did just get hit by a taxi cab.
Yeah.
Then we cut back to the diner where everyone has assembled. Everyone's back in town. And you get, I think, a moment that highlights Sam's issues he's highlighted with this movie, but also is hilarious to me.
Mhm.
When Jenny and Ronnie are trying to get everyone on board with this plan,
All up. Yeah.
Fozzie goes, "Who's this guy?" And Rolf's like,
Yeah.
"Wait, who is she?"
Who's she?
And I realized
I thought that
they
was
don't
so
know
funny.
these people who are the other main characters in the movie.
Yeah. This movie doesn't hold together at all. But yeah, who's she?
They just, again, blindly take orders from anyone who tells them what to do. But they hunt for a while, including Gonzo goes to ask Mayor Ed Koch about if he's seen Kermit, which he has not.
Yeah.
And they all just fail in finding Kermit. And apparently 2 weeks or a week goes by in this time when Kermit has had amnesia. And they're just sadly moping at the diner.
But have apparently been preparing for like we mentioned before, preparing for the musical the whole time too.
Yeah, it's opening night. Fozzie says the show must go on. Kermit would have wanted it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they assume Kermit's dead at this point. But thankfully, Kermit and the Business Frogs go to the same diner where they're sitting and moping. And Kermit starts to play a little song on his glasses that everyone recognizes as Together Again.
Somehow. I wouldn't have recognized it as that.
He was playing it quite slowly and offbeat, so I don't think I would have recognized it either. And so the Muppets kidnap Phil and take him to the theater. Inside the theater, it does look exactly like the Muppet Show theater.
In a very like, too much, if you ask me. Especially too much not to show Statler and Waldorf in the box, right?
They're there.
They are?
They're up there in the box.
Does it show them?
Yeah.
They are? I didn't notice.
They only
Does
get
it
like a wide shot. You see them, they're up there, but you don't.
Oh.
They don't really focus on them.
This is when I started thinking this should have just been the origin story of the Muppet Show.
Yeah, the theater owner could have been like, "You guys are great. Can you stick around for 5 years?
Yeah.
Do a show a week?" And they're like, "I don't know if we can actually." It's like, well,
We literally will do a bad job, but okay.
but Phil / Kermit with amnesia starts to make fun of Piggy in this moment. Really, really mean. Which again, it's Phil, not Kermit.
Yeah, but still in there somewhere.
It's very mean. So mean that Piggy karate chops him across the room
And this awakens the Kermit inside of Phil.
That is a nice resolution, like a nice buildup of her karate chops through the years, the karate chop that saves the man she loves.
Mm-hmm. And it brings it all back to also the song he's been trying to sing every time they get a chance to, which is right where I belong.
Love it from the Airbnb commercials.
Whoa, it's Verbo, not Airbnb.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Clearly their marketing has failed.
Whoops.
But I love the
It
moments.
is a great song, but it's also not really a song. It's just a little piece of a song, in my opinion.
Well, what's a song, Sam? What defines a song? But he starts
a limerick.
Look at me, here I am, right where I belong, which is a different tempo than it is earlier as well. It's like a hoedown when they try to sing it earlier for
When
Martin
they're trying
Price.
to sing it, yeah.
And I'm like, hey, if you had sung it this way for everyone earlier, maybe they
In
would
a
have
beautiful
done
way
your show.
instead of like a dope, yeah.
And now we get a little montage that races to the finish of this movie. We get the somebody's getting married scene, which is a scene entirely composed of people they've just met, which raises some questions.
Right, because this is when Kermit's like, oh, I know what my play needs, more guys.
Yeah, and
But
everyone
he
brought
never met
people
any
back
guys.
with them from where they were. So from everywhere people have been visiting, they brought back Beaker and Beauregard and the Bears and New Zealand and Swedish Chef. And so all these people are here now to help out with the play. And so we get a lot of the dogs from the shelter. Those are people's dogs, by the way, Rolf. You stole dogs. A lot of other people in this scenario chose to come to New York with you. They decided those dogs were people's dogs.
If they can talk, maybe the rules are a little different.
But after somebody's getting married, it is time for the wedding scene. The will he or won't he? The thing that everything's been building towards this entire time.
Yeah.
And it turns out is a wedding scene within a play.
Which is confusingly played as a will he or won't he thing, even though there's not a lot of like build up to that.
Yeah.
Like there could have been a scene where he was like, maybe I do kind of like Jenny, but there's not.
Nope. There's apparently some lines cut out of this that are in the comic book version of this, where some vegetables are at the wedding and get to sing the lines, "Let us wish them joy and hope. It's a shame they can't elope."
That's pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Why'd they cut that? That's funny.
But every Muppet is there, mostly. It's like 170 Muppets, something like that. It's a lot of freaking Muppets.
It looks like way less than it does in the Muppet movie, though, to me. Like that they all fit in those rows.
Yeah.
And that big mass of them looks like way more.
But this is, there's some nice hidden Muppets in there. Lothar is back.
Lothar's back there in his perverse form.
Yeah, his pink fluffy form. But he looks pretty good still.
He's
Not as
looking
good
better
as
than
he
he-
was wearing a
right.
fez last time he was hanging
And
out with Art Carney.
devil wings, but yeah.
But yeah, Sam and Lips are there, seated way in the back, by the way. Did not have the best
Yeah.
seats. They have worse seats than the babies and Jerry and the Atrix.
Jerry and the Atrix have a prominent role in this ending scene, which is an odd choice.
And then we get to see the pastor, played by Dr. Cyril Jenkins, who was a former pastor of the Rutgers
interesting.
Presbyterian Church of Manhattan, where he served for
Okay.
19 years. So he not only, in the plot of the movie, is supposed to be a real pastor, but in real life, he was a real pastor.
was a real pastor.
So are Kermit and Piggy married?
Are those two inanimate objects actually married? This is an interesting question, Matt. I think they are. Are Jim and Frank married?
Jim and Frank.
That would be funny if that was Jim, if that was Frank's end game, was to get married to Jim so then they could divorce and then Frank would get half of Jim's money and then he'd just split.
Hey, that Rolls Royce looks pretty nice, Jim. What if
Yeah.
we got married as
When
a
he
joke?
was 19 years old, he saw Jim's fancy car and he was like, had just all the whole plan flash into
I
his
gotta
head.
marry this guy.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that
And
idea.
then they get married. And that's the end of the fucking movie.
That is, we just like push them up to a little circle in the corner of the screen, and we get a big "the end" written on the
Yeah.
screen, and that's it.
In a way that almost makes it feel like that's the last time you're ever going to see the Muppets. Like, in my opinion. Obviously not, because we still have so many episodes of this show left.
Yeah, we're never gonna be done. I kind of forgot that was the way the movie ended, like that it just ended within the world of the play, which is a weird
Yeah.
way to end it. Especially, like, I guess the resolution is there. They achieved their dream. They got to perform on Broadway. That was the goal of the movie. They did it. Congrats, guys. But we don't get to see them enjoy that at all.
Right. And it really honestly would have been nice to see something of Jenny just to be like, goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
The last time you see her, you don't even know it's the last time you're going to see her, you know?
That's true
I
of
guess
everyone,
that's just how
Sam.
life is. That's true. But yeah, I think I'd rank it the last, in my opinion, of the 3 original Muppet movies. I think it has a lot of fun stuff going for it, but it's just like too messy. Where do you put it in the 3?
Yeah, it's interesting because I think there's parts of this that I would mark as my favorite of the 3 because I do like the personalities of the characters, but I think it might end up second behind the Muppet movie. So I think it goes Muppet movie, this one, and then Caper. Something about Caper just doesn't click for me. I like it. I enjoy it.
Boring. That's what it is. But the twins thing is funny enough to put it over. And I like Nikki Holiday. I think he's great too.
Yeah, and maybe I said something like this in our episode about it, but I feel like Nikki Holiday and a couple characters in that movie feel like they're in different movies from each other.
Yeah.
And so there's a little bit of a disconnect that movie doesn't feel complete. Whereas
that
I
one
feel
feels
like
way more like a 70s movie too. Like it can get away with being a little bit more meandering, I think.
Yeah. But this movie to me feels like even though it's chaotic, it rushes through things that are kind of important and it makes things happen too fast, and it has a lot of scenes that aren't necessarily important to the overall plot. I do feel like as a whole, it feels like it's all the same movie.
Yeah.
Like there's not a
That's
moment
true.
in there that makes me go like, wait a minute, that shouldn't happen in this film. So yeah, I think I say second out of the 3. Well then, Sam, we've done it. We've discussed the Muppets Take Manhattan, and it's time for me to ask if there was any non-Muppet things you enjoyed this week.
I saw Commando, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh.
I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. One of my new favorite movies of all time. If you haven't watched Commando, it's the funnest action movie I've ever seen. It's so stupid and so good. It's the perfect dumb action movie.
Not what I expected you to drop, but all right.
That's the extent of it. Otherwise, I've been repainting my kitchen all week, and I have not done anything fun.
All right. Well, I'm finally at the end of Jedi Survivor. I think I'm on like one of the very last things I'm doing, and it's so fucking hard that I've played it like 25 times, and I'm now angry at it. And
Is it like the last boss fight?
I think so. It better be. It's so hard, and I think I'm actually going to turn the difficulty down all the way to like the easiest baby mode to beat it because it's frustrating me at this point. But on top of that,
Zelda awaits you, and it's a religious experience.
I can't wait. But also on top of that, I started watching the Smartless series on Max.
Oh.
It's like a tour documentary behind the scenes thing. And
Interesting.
It's interesting to see. They can be assholes at times. Like Jason Bateman, especially. I'm just like, ugh. This kind of
That doesn't surprise me.
this documentary does not paint you in the best light, sir. You kind of seem like a dick.
Interesting. I would imagine it's just kind of supposed to be like a light tour documentary, right?
I think it's about the challenges of like, 3 50-year-old dudes trying to tour together who haven't done this before during COVID. I believe there's an episode where they show them like bombing a live show. Like just, it doesn't work. And so I'm curious to see how that goes. Yeah, it's interesting, I would say, but I don't know that it's for everyone because it is awkward. And there's definitely times you're like, fuck these guys. But yeah, that's all I've been watching and playing pretty much. Before we go, we want to let you know what we'll be doing next time. And next time we are jumping back in time a little bit, headed back to May of 1984 and back to Fraggle Rock as we finish up season 2 with episodes 21 through 24 titled Wembley and the Great Race, Doozer Is As Doozer Does, Boober's Quiet Day, and the Invasion of the Toe Ticklers.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
On top of that, we'll also watch Kermit and Piggy make a very brief appearance on a TV show called The Funniest Joke I Ever Heard. But we also need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. Don't forget to go to kermitmentstuff.com to check out all of our brand new Kermitment merch.
Buy our merch if you are so inclined.
You can also email us at mail@kermitment.com or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at KermitmentPod. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.